So today we have a company that I frankly don't know that much about. Nature's Nectar is participating the first time this semester. And so we have here the company founder and CEO, Catherine Milling. And so we would like to learn more about the company. I know it will be a popular company. So we did receive quite a few questions from students who couldn't join us live due to classes, work, too late, too early, and whatever other reasons. So it looks like we have about 100 people watching us live, and so most of them will be watching the recording. And so, Catherine, I'll probably pass the microphone first to you for a quick introduction of yourself and the company, and then maybe we can switch to the Q&A mode where I can ask some questions that we prepared, and I'm sure there will be more questions from the students. And students, I see you already started putting questions in the comments, which is wonderful. So if you have any questions, you can type them in the comments, or you can just raise your hand and join us for the discussion. So Catherine, a few words about yourself and your company, please.
Hi, everyone. Hope you can hear me okay. My name is Catherine. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Nature's Nectar. We are a sustainable honey company based in Zambia in Southern Africa. I am originally from Texas. I came to Zambia in 2014 as a Peace Corps volunteer and fell in love with Zambia. And I had some beekeeping experience in the past as well and got connected to beekeepers here. And that launched my career with Nature's Nectar. So we started in 2018. We are a for-profit company, but we run as a social enterprise. So we are very impact focused. Our whole system is based around protecting local environments while also being able to pay our producers a premium price for the honey that they produce. So our aim is to produce a high quality product and paying our producers a premium price for that product and being able to sell the product globally and getting a good recognition for Zambia throughout the world. We have two types of honey. We have a summer and a winter harvest. We work with a specific type of beehive. It's called a Kenyan top bar beehive. And we do mostly wholesale exports right now and also going into the retail space. And we have capacity for more retail growth. So looking to find more ways to reach new markets and what price points are viable and workable for us in those markets and where we should start putting more investment energy into the markets that can bring us the most value. So we're excited to be working with you guys and eager to hear your questions. And the whole aim is just so we can find the best value for our product. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we can learn together.
Okay, well, let's get right into the questions. So there was a question as we were waiting for you. Are you only producing honey, or do you also aggregate and sell honey from other honey producers?
So we have our registered farmers. That's about 3,000 farmers and 30,000 beehives. Those are all organic certified producers as well. We do also source outside of that farmer network when we have low stock. That's what's happening right now, for example. We did have a drought last year, and there's much lower quantity than expected and hoped for. So we have sourced from other farmer groups outside of our farmer groups in the past, but ideally we would have sourcing from majority of our registered farmer group. Honey is our main product, and beeswax is our secondary product that is our byproduct of production.
Did you say 30,000 beehives?
30,000 beehives.
1,000. Whoa, that's a gigantic. So that's, I didn't realize it's so many. I thought maybe hundreds, but I didn't realize that it's tens of thousands. Okay, that's gigantic. So what kind of area does it cover? I mean, in terms of square kilometers, or I don't know how geography works here.
So we do have maps that we can send. There's 7 different provinces of Zambia, which is basically like the states.
Mm-hmm.
And we have most of our hives split between the northwestern province and the eastern province of Zambia.
Wow, okay, that's a big operation. A few more questions about the history of the company, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the business itself. So, how old is the company? When did you start it? And you mentioned co-founders, so there are other people involved in co-founding and co-managing this company, or how does it work?
Yes, the company was co-founded by three people, myself, my husband, and a third partner. Since then, that third partner has exited the business, so it's just me and my husband as the only shareholders. Um, we have a quite small team. We have our processing facility, so I'm based here in Lusaka at our facility, and we have another operating manager. Then we have two head engineers that run the facility, the processing facility, as well as four other plant staff that manage the day-to-day operations of processing the product here. And then we also have field staff, so staff that are based in the field where the hives are, and they do the oversight, working with farmers, training of farmers, payment to farmers when the harvest is occurring. Um, they're the eyes and ears of everything on the ground with the farmers.
Did you have any experience with honey before starting this company, or is it something? And why honey? I mean, it's a quite a specialized product that requires some special knowledge, right? So how did
Mhm.
you end up in doing something like this?
Honey has always been a favorite food of mine, and I'm a big fan of bees. They're my favorite animal. I was in a beekeepers association in Texas before
Uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
left for the Peace Corps. So bees have always been quite a theme in my life. I did a little bit of beekeeping in the States before I came here, but then when I did come here, I met with beekeepers. I got to learn all about beekeeping here, which is completely different from the
Right.
US. It's a different bee, it's different nectars, it's different flower production, it's different methods of harvesting, of the types of hives. Yeah, it's a completely different way of beekeeping. So I've learned a lot over the years. And when we saw that beekeeping in Zambia, the nectar that the bees forage on to produce honey, the main source of the nectar are flower producing trees in the forests around Zambia. So it's a way that forests are protected and preserved. Zambia is one of the highest deforestation rates in all of the world and all of Africa. So if there's ways that we could find to bring more incentives of keeping forests intact, that was even more of an exciting motivation and factor for work that we want to be doing. So that was another draw to why we wanted to do beekeeping in Zambia, because it's a way to help protect forest areas, because we need the forest areas intact and able to produce honey within Zambia.
Interesting. Also, again, before we start talking about the business, you are where most of our students want to be in a few years. So all of our participants are business students. A good half are MBAs, the other undergraduate business students. And so many would like to start their own business. I know that very few of them will be starting an enterprise with an exotic product in an exotic location. But still, what went into starting a business? Did you have to acquire, I don't know, beehives, bee families, land? Like, how does it even work? I'm just curious. I have a general idea of how to start a business, for example, in Texas, if I wanted to make t-shirts. Okay, I would buy some sewing machines, I would hire some people. But again, you are very unusual in terms of the product, in terms of the location, in terms of the, I don't even know how this, can you tell us more about how this all started?
Yes, so we had, a bit of an advantage of already living and working within Zambia and understanding the local structures in place before we started the business. Um, you know, for people wanting to start new businesses, and if it's an international business, maybe you're sourcing products from abroad, maybe you're based outside of the US, just as the US requires your different types of business registrations and licenses and fees. All of that is required within Zambia as well. So we had a lot to learn when it comes to what documents are required, how to legally register, how can we legally be working here as well. Immigration was a factor.
True. Yeah.
So we had a lot to learn in those beginning years, but luckily, I said, we had a bit of an advantage because we were already based here and working here with the Peace Corps. So we got to get a bit of knowledge in the beginning. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different requirements. Just before this call, I was with on the phone with people trying to understand a specific type of registration for our company vehicle that we just got a ticket for over the weekend because we didn't have a specific license that is supposed to be listed for it. But we've been operating with this vehicle for 3 years and never had this told to us this is a requirement. So you learn things along the way. And yeah, what has been the biggest help to us and what I always recommend to other entrepreneurs or, people wanting to start businesses, go and find the people that are doing what you want to do or are doing as close as what you want to do and get as much insight from them as you can as possible. That has been a huge impact to our success and where we are today, being able to lean on and get information from businesses that are 4, 6 years ahead of us with a very similar operational model, working as an outgrower model with farmers across the country and sourcing an agriculture product. So being able to learn and hear from them of their mistakes and learnings that they made in their first few years of operation, in their growth periods, in their fundraising periods. It's always so beneficial to tap into the people that have already walked that road and hear from them on what they would do differently and what they've learned and would change if they could go back. So we have a great board now that is comprised of other business owners and founders that have experience in these fields much more than we have and are always able to give those types of insights.
Mm-hmm. So now we are switching to the product, but a quick announcement. Yes, we have reached the capacity, and yes, I know there are people in the waiting room. Normally, so many people don't show up for these recordings, and I think it's the Labor Day in the United States, so maybe students are not in school. So do let your team members know that we are at capacity, but some people drop out from time to time, technical issues. So I'm adding people as spots become available. Now, back to the product. So customers. So who buys your honey? First, do you sell it to businesses or to end consumers, B2B, B2C? But also, what is the typical profile of your buyer?
Most of our sales now are B2B. We do a lot of wholesale to some companies here in Zambia and also regionally to countries surrounding here. We would like to get into more retail if we find that it's a valuable opportunity. Obviously, there's a lot more costs involved, different payment terms. We've chosen to do wholesale and B2B for the most part because it's the fastest and simplest payment terms and less investment costs. But now with our growth, we would like to see what other opportunities there are. So we do some B2C as well within Zambia now, not as much as our B2B though.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So then geographically speaking, so Zambia is the main market, but also some other neighboring countries in the region. Europe, America, Australia, Asia, not so far.
We've done some to the US, but none to elsewhere. Yeah.
And I assume you're open to entering new markets, right?
Yes, very much. Yeah.
We'll talk in a few minutes about how students should go about finding potential retailers, distributors, maybe even end consumers. But let's talk a little bit more about the product itself. So it is honey and honey wax. Anything students need to know about it? Is it just honey, or there is something special to know as they are trying to do their research? Maybe
Uh,
let me rephrase it. Competition. So is it any different from other honey producers? Are there any unique features or I don't know flavors or I'm not to be honest, I don't really know anything about honey other than I just buy it sometimes at Costco. So, but no idea. I know I would definitely try to buy honey out of Africa, and I assume it's probably a little bit less industrial than whatever we buy at Costco here in the United States. But tell us more about the product and competition or how it compares to other honey producers.
yes. Um, so lots of differences of what makes our honey unique. As a whole, as a broad sense, I would say Zambian honey is a very distinct type of honey because it's coming from this specific type of forest area in the world. So there's only a few countries in the world that have this kind of honey. Zambia, Tanzania, Malawi, Congo, Botswana, Namibia, all of that region where we have what's called the Miombo woodlands that produce these specific trees and flowers have these very special honey. So that's, first of all, what makes this honey very special and unique.
Mhm.
It is a very distinct flavor that this honey produces as well. We didn't get any samples there to you yet, but I can send some to the
I'd love to.
school. Yeah, so you can get an idea. Let me see if I have any.
So that's the actual product, right? So in the background there.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that darker color, is that the honey color or it's the glass
yeah,
itself?
yeah. This is the honey we
So
have
that's the honey
majority of.
color, right? So it's not like amber yellowish, what we normally
No,
know?
no, this
Oh,
this bottle is clear. Yeah.
wow. Interesting.
So this is our summer honey. It's much more liquid. It's clearly a very dark amber color. It's a very strong flavor. Um, I don't like to give too much detail. I like for people to make their own taste decisions as they try it.
This
And
is so
then,
great that it looks different because, well, there is a question there about a unique selling point. It does look different. So it's a differentiating point. Customers know that they buy something different than that, usual honey or, uh, so this is great. That definitely gives you a gigantic advantage. Okay, tell us more about the product itself then. So yes, I didn't realize it's so different.
yeah, and then this is our winter honey. So it's slightly lighter in color. It's a much thicker honey. It crystallizes much faster, kind of turning into like a jam or spread. And this is, yeah, the winter harvest compared to the summer. So you can see the
Wow.
variety of just our honey is very a lot as well.
With
And again,
proper
this
with
flavor,
proper viral campaign. I mean, now they're talking about this Dubai chocolate, whatever that is. And before, I remember there was a lot of buzz about acai berries. I mean, probably I don't know if it was any special, but everybody was buying it. Now with your honey, I can totally see how this could be the next craze. I'm not sure what supply, what amounts you could supply, but I can totally see how that could be like the big, superfoods, and everybody's buying it, and wow, this is especially because it looks and tastes different, so you immediately know that it's not your usual honey. So, okay. Yeah. And
yes.
then
So both of these
somebody's,
flavors are very distinct as
uh,
well.
yeah,
Each of them
somebody's
has this
asking,
unique
so there is
flavor.
no color additives or anything like that. That's the natural color, right?
The natural color, 100% organic, certified.
Wow. Lots of questions in the comments. One more that came up, and then I'll go through the questions from the audience. Price, and that also includes production cost. Is it much more expensive to make? Organic technically often is more expensive to make, and then obviously the shipping will be the factor, but also in general cost and pricing strategy.
Um, yes. So the costing per kg is roughly around $1.50 to $1.60. That's to get the product here in the facility and get it processed. So that doesn't account
Per
for
kilogram?
yeah, per
That's
kilogram.
nothing. We pay what,
That's
like
not a
$17 for a small, I don't know, like a not even a 20 ounce, 16 ounce bottle at Costco. So that's at least 10 times. No,
so
more because
that's
it's
just
it's
to
a much
get
smaller container.
the liquid product. So that's not any packing costs, that's not any logistics costs
Of
yet,
course,
since
yes.
all of that is variable. So that's just to buy the product from farmers and get it to finished product state. So from there, we would add the packing cost. Are we packing in glass jars? Are we packing in plastic squeeze bottles? Are we labeling the product? Do we have stickers? Do we have um, the organic certification requirement and the paperwork documentation, which is a bit extra? Yes, and then the cost of organic certification. So there is an annual cost for that certification.
Hmm.
And then there's also all of our additional operational costs, I would say, to comply with these organic requirements, which is just a bit more hands-on training of farmers, engagement with farmers, so more operational field costs to that as well.
But it's definitely the cost that you can work with. I was afraid that you would say that it's like $50 per liter. In that case, I think it's still perfectly fine. It's a unique product, but obviously would have much less room for covering all the other expenses and maybe some profit. Anyway, there is a question from Michaela Joseph about the portion or percentage of the company's equity assets and profit that go to shareholders versus other stakeholders. But I guess maybe I'll ask it a little bit differently. So you said it's a sort of for-profit, but also socially responsible company. Can you tell us more about how it's set up and how it's run, and then if any profits, how they divide it? What do we need to know
Yep.
about the actual sort of ownership slash profitability of the company, or rather the
Yeah.
setup in terms of for profit, non-profit?
Yeah. So it is a for-profit registered company. We wanted to register that way so that we weren't, reliant on donor funding for our operations. We wanted to make sure whatever we were selling the product for was able to sustain the business and that it was a sustainable business model. We're only two shareholders in the business, myself and my husband. Any profits we have made as a company are always reinvested back into the business. We've not done any shareholder payouts to date. Of course, that's a goal at some point.
But it should be. It
But
should be for sustainability. I mean, I believe in doing well by doing good, but you can do good only when you do well. I mean, only so long you can run on enthusiasm.
right, right. So our aim is to always have the producer get a minimum of 30% of the selling price per kg that
Hmm.
we are getting. So to date, actually, for some of the price points where we've been selling honey at, the farmers are getting more than that, maybe close to 50% of that margin of what the selling price is. So, yeah, we always want to ensure our farmers are getting the most out of that amount. And then, yeah, again, any profits that the company has made, which have been minimal to date, mainly because we've really tried to keep our operational costs low. That's always reinvested back into the business so far.
Christopher has two questions. One was about establishing such a business, and we sort of talked about it. But then his second question is about the capacity. So, what is your current capacity? How much honey you produce? And if, let's say, our students come up with brilliant ideas and get your product into major retail chains, let's say in the United States or in Europe. So, what is the theoretical maximum you can supply?
Theoretically, in the short-term future, I would say maybe 200 to 300 tons. It's something we can grow
100
into.
tons. So no, we're talking about industrial scale then, right? So it's not just some volunteer out of Texas has 10 beehives and just makes some honey for family and friends. So we're talking about a pretty large scale.
Yeah, yeah. Right now we do 100 or 150 tons a year.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and we want to be at 500 tons a year.
Okay, so that's actually that's very substantial. Okay. So yeah. One more question about geography. So you said you're open to any market, but are there specific markets you're particularly interested in, and why?
I really have no preference of the market we go to. It's all about the value that we can get. So, we think there's lots of opportunity in Asia. We think there's lots of opportunity across, places like the UAE, um, Saudi Arabia. There's lots of places we think that there's opportunity, but we don't know the full extent of costs and registrations and what we can actually get as a real selling point and price for our specific product. One challenge, it's our benefit and challenge at the same time. The honey is so unique and so different. Sometimes it's such a strong and different flavor, it doesn't do well in some markets. So
Huh.
it's really about understanding, which places are wanting a unique honey and are willing to pay a premium price for that type of unique honey.
Interesting. Yeah. Shipping. So, how durable? I know honey technically shouldn't spoil, at least not quickly, but are there any special complications with regard sorry, with regard to shipping?
Yeah, every market has their own requirement. So um, the US, for example, you have to be registered with the FDA to be able to import any materials. For China, you have to be registered and approved in their system as a honey producer through their veterinary department, basically, to be able to sell into China. Honey is an animal food product. It's coming from the bee, which is an animal. So every country has their different requirements and listings of how you bring product in and what kind of registration is needed for the business.
So that actually covers my second question. So certification, registration. So it's not so much shipping as the physical shipping, it's more getting the paperwork to be able to import it in different countries.
Yeah, that will be a big part of this project
Yeah.
to understand what the requirements are, costs behind that, and how long that process can be. Sometimes it's a very extensive process. Sometimes it's literally just sending our company registration documents and they approve. It just depends on those requirements.
Yeah. So yes, one of the questions, students, for you is to do some research on what kind of certification and paperwork is required when the product crosses the border. And that's both a good exercise for you, but also hopefully it will be lots of good information for the company. And again, do as much research as you can, how much time it takes, how much it costs, what kind of documentation is needed, other companies that can help with that, and things like that. One quick question, I'm not sure if it's even relevant, but Boakia asked if artificial intelligence plays any role in your business in honey production. I guess it's all the buzz these days. I'm curious if it matters for you.
Not so much right now. I mean, we've used it for maybe analyzing some of our reports or compiling data, or trying to find some data anomalies. But to be honest, it's not been very helpful. But we do have a data system that we use that tracks all of our beehive um, locations, all of our farmer IDs. It's where we enter all of our payments to farmers. It's where we track all of our KGs. We use it in the facility as well to make our batch codes and processing and tracking all of our processing as well. So it's not AI, but we do use a lot of technology to run our business for sure.
Mhm. I'm trying to keep up with the questions in the comments, and so there is one that or several that I'll merge. So Caleb O'Neill is asking about challenges of supply chain, and then he refines what are your biggest challenges bringing on more farmers, growing existing farmer capabilities, and then I will also ask, so basically what keeps you up at night? So what are other challenges that you deal with What are the biggest? You mentioned drought. Anything else that makes your life more difficult?
Yes, all of those things. Increasing farmer production, increasing more hives. Obviously, that's an investment cost that we are seeking for. The overall engagement of farmers and communication and management of field operations from a different location. Um, yeah, there's a lot of logistics and operations management behind what we do, and it takes a lot of constant refinement of our operations to make it as efficient as possible. There's also ever evolving regulations locally and abroad, so keeping up with those and ensuring that we're compliant with all of those things. Yeah, it's quite a challenge, but sometimes can be fun. Sometimes drives you a bit mad, but you carry on. I would say, I mean, one of our largest challenges right now is that we're in a growth stage and need quite a significant amount of money to make that significant growth happen. But we're kind of at a what came first, the chicken or the egg situation of people want to see a certain amount of growth or amount of sales or amount of production before they would put any investment
Right.
in. But how do we reach that without first getting more investment in, right? So it's a bit of a tricky spot to be in as well. And a lot of investors too don't want to invest smaller amounts of capital. You know,
Yes.
most people we speak to want to put in a minimum of $2 million. We're, you know, yes, we could take on $2 million. It would be quite risky for the amount of revenues we're currently making at this point, and just doesn't make the most sense for us to have that type of investment right now. You know, we need less than $1 million of investment, and it's very difficult to find the type of funders that want to put in these smaller ticket sizes and that are willing to put in that effort for a smaller amount of money. So I would say that's our current challenge right now when it comes to our growth and where we want to go and finding the right types of partners and funding that can get us there. Um, what keeps me up at night is making sure that we're just taking care of things the right way. You know, if we're delayed maybe in paying farmers, if maybe our cash flows are really tight and there's not enough to pay everyone's salaries on time. You know, we've been in those positions before where I don't pay myself for quite a while just so we can make sure the rest of the staff are paid. You know, it's those scenarios of you, people are dependent on
Yeah.
us and on the company's success. So if if we don't succeed, you know, that's people's livelihoods gone. So it's a big helpful motivation at times, but also can be quite weighing at times as well.
Yeah. What students often don't understand when they would like to start their own business to be the mistress of their time. Well, in a way, you cannot check out at 5 p.m. and just go home and not worry about anything until the next 8 a.m. So there is always
No,
something.
no. You're
So,
you never have time off, I'll tell you that.
yeah. Solomon is asking about how the industry is set up in Zambia. So, are there any competitors? Is it some sort of a cooperative? Are you covering all honey producers, or you have some other types of partnerships that compete with you? So, tell us a little bit more about the industry set up in Zambia.
The industry that like as in honey production
Yes, so I
within
think he
Zambia.
asks about competition and but also, so are you, because it sounds like you cover most of the country geographically, but then are there other producers that produce on a large scale and thereby compete with you for the same customers, or how is it, how does it work?
Um, yes, so there's a lot of different kind of producers within Zambia. I would say probably there's maybe 4 or 5 other companies that are structured in the same way we are, where we have a large set of farmers that we work with and source from. We have our own processing facility and we manage all of our sales. There are a lot of small scale producers as well that maybe just aggregate, or they have farmers that produce and process in the field, and then they buy it straight from them and distribute locally. That could be, into the market areas. That could be just selling on the roadside. There's a lot of different layers of these small scale producers as well. And then as far as competition, those other producers that work in the same way we do, they're also supplying some locally and then a lot that is exported. So as far as the competition like that, there is quite a bit locally. We're not really targeting the local market so much because it is a much lower price point. What we pay our farmers, it's very difficult to compete in this local market and make that cost worthwhile. We have much higher, taxes when we sell locally versus exporting, distributor costs that are much higher. So all to say, a lot of those similar producers have some locally, but then they export across the world. So yes, they are competition in a lot of ways, but also they are, there's enough of a global share for Zambian honey that it's not that we're really stepping on each other's toes or are trying to fight for, a small amount of clients. It's a global market, and there's plenty of opportunity for us all to be successful.
A quick comment from me to Yogesh. Yogesh, you said it's too much in India. Well, first, as you guys do your research, find markets where the demand and price would be acceptable. But you did the math wrong. So you say that it's 4,936 Indian rupees per kilogram. I actually went to the price. No, it's 131 Indian rupees. So you're like 40 times or 30 times wrong. So yes, I don't know if 131. So that's the production cost. Obviously, it will be the end price will be much higher, but still, it looks like you got the math wrong. So let me see. There are several questions about sustainability, and we talked about social responsibility, but also environment protection and sustainability. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I know to many students it's a big deal.
Yes, and good question. So traditional beekeeping in Zambia, farmers will strip a tree of the bark and make a hollow style log hive. When that's done, that kills that indigenous tree. It dries it out. Those bark hives only last for 2 to 3 years on average as well. And the same flower and nectar producing trees are the most sought after trees to make the beehives. So it's hurting the honey industry as a whole to use these traditional bark hives. So what we do is utilize Kenyan top bar hives made out of pine. We often get the question, well, this is also wood. Why is that any better? That's a great question. And it comes down to the longevity and the growth of those trees. So a pine tree takes much less space, much less water, and can grow much faster than an indigenous tree from the forest area within Zambia. And the pine wood is a much stronger, and it's a protected beehive with a metal lid that we provide. So those hives can last for 15 or 20 years compared to a bark hive that's only 2 to 3 years on average. At the most I've ever seen a bark hive, someone told me the length of it was 5 years. So it's definitely a much longer lasting hive. Obviously, it's not a perfect solution in any way. If there's a more sustainable product that or material that we could use, we're looking into what we could use locally that would be a lower cost and not as extractive in a lot of ways. So there is potential for that. But right now, pine is our best option. So the type of hive that we use is very much our claim to sustainability. It's much less disruptive and destructive for the hive and the bees as well when you're harvesting. A top bar beehive, you can pull out each bar one by one, and you can see, what's ready to be harvested, what's not. If there's, not enough honey to be harvested at all, even, then you can leave it there. Whereas with a bark hive, it's a hollow log, so you don't have a way to open it and extract it in different areas. You literally just reach your hand in and scoop everything out. So it's very disruptive for the hive. It kills a lot of the brood. Which is the baby bees that are growing. It takes a lot of the pollen out. The pollen is the protein source for bees. So the way that we harvest as well, and the way that we train farmers to utilize their traditional knowledge, but just in a more sustainable practice, that's our claim to sustainability.
Very nice, yes. There is a question from Naomi about preservatives and additives. I think we covered that. I assume honey is a natural preservative itself, right? So I don't think it needs anything. There is a question from Brianna about how much do you currently sell for? And I think the right question should be for you students. How much do you think it should cost in whatever market you identify as a promising market? Let's say your team believes that the United States or Canada is the next promising market. It would actually help if you did research, surveyed potential customers, maybe your friends, maybe retailers, and asked them what they think would be a suitable price. So Catherine told you about how much it actually costs to get the honey raw material essentially at the farm. So obviously you can do the calculations for packaging, for advertisement, for shipping, whatever other cost you can get into it. But then it would be nice if you could also do some research and suggest the best price. There is also a question from Solomon about ISO certification and food safety certification, like the brand reputation compliance. I'm not sure if you have any information about that.
Yeah, we are FSSC 22000 certified.
Mm-hmm. And that's a big deal. Again, students, if you don't know what ISO is, do some research on it. But it's a big deal if you try to sell products internationally. Customers in the new markets may not know about the product, but when they see the ISO certification, they know that you can trust it, basically. So there is a question from Christopher about Ghana. So have you sold to Ghana? Do you have any partners in Ghana? And I guess my comment to Christopher will be, even if there is some, there could be more. So again, hopefully you'll do some research and suggest some potential local distributors, retailers, consumers. But yes, anything in Ghana so far, Catherine?
Nothing in Ghana. No, we've never received any inquiries from there, nor have I really done any research. So if that is a potential opportunity, that'd be great to learn about.
Mm-hmm. Michaela is asking.
Areas I
Yes,
could
go ahead,
answer
please.
to. The countries we have exported to are South Africa, Botswana, and Zimbabwe, and the US, and are a little bit to the Democratic Republic of the Congo as well.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Michaela is asking about the color and taste. Is it solely due to seasonal variations or differences in beekeeping practices? So basically, how does it work? Why is it so different, summer, winter?
It all comes down to the flower and nectar that the honey is coming from. So I can send information about the trees where this is coming from, the actual Latin names for them. But it's two main flower types that are in different flowering production times. And that's why we have it, that's why we call it the summer and the winter, because that's the seasons that they are flowering and cropped in.
Mm-hmm. We are out of time officially. We try to keep this to 45 minutes, but there are a few more questions, just quick answers. So Brianna is asking, have you explored adding a staff member to help navigate export challenges? Brianna, I will say that if you do a good job, and if you, I don't know what country you're in, but maybe you can offer your services if you impress the company enough with your exploration. But yes, Catherine, do you have anyone specializing specifically in export and paperwork?
We have an export sales lead, that manages all of our export sales right now. His expertise is mostly regionally, but we, learn as we go of what is required. So yeah, there's a lot of local entities here that are set up to help with companies like ours understand the requirements for reaching new export markets, and they actually do try and help you reach those export markets. They cover maybe trade show expenses or, help subsidize some of those costs. So we get a lot of information from those types of entities and business networks within Zambia that are set up to help provide that information.
Mhm. Yogesh is asking whether you are flexible to offer different pricing and different strategies for different countries. And again, I'll move it back to Yogesh directly. So you guys, you do your research and you tell the company if they need to adapt. I mean, obviously, it would be nice if one size fits, all. But if not, you have to develop the strategy and advise on the best strategy. Darmi is asking about differentiation. We talked about that. There is a very interesting question from Vanessa Gill or Hill. Distribution channels. So what are your current distribution channels? Direct marketing, online, organic food retailers, supermarkets, e-commerce, or direct-to-consumer shipping? And do you have a preference for one versus another?
Preference would be the simplest and least expensive as well. Right now, we really, with our B2B, most of our clients come and collect the product from our facility. So we don't have any distribution costs. We don't have any packing or logistics costs. They handle that from our door. So that saves a lot. But we also get a lower margin because we aren't doing those other, types of transactions. We have in the past. It's just what's working with our clientele right now. So I really wouldn't say that I have a preference at all. It's just around, what makes the most sense. Obviously, we wouldn't do a massive Amazon launch, for example, if we were only going to be selling 100 jars, right? The cost to set all that up, to send product there, that wouldn't be worthwhile. So all of those we are open to. It's really just around what is the best case scenario in all of those options and where can that work the best.
Yes. And again, students, that's a big question for you. So do you think it would be best to sell directly to the end consumers, maybe via Amazon or some other platforms? Do you think it should be some sort of a partnership or joint venture, or maybe work with some governmental agency or some other setup? So you do your research, you suggest, importantly though, provide enough details. So it's not enough to say sell online. Give us the specifics, cost, the steps. So that's exactly why we need you. So you do all the research and give basically a step-by-step guide with all the calculations. So that's an excellent question. And actually, we need the answer from you. I see a lot of repetitive questions. Naomi, Kweku, Yogesh, Jigyasa. I hope I pronounce your names correctly. So I've seen all of these, or we've discussed most of these. I would like to end with this question. So, Catherine, you're a business owner, you're a social entrepreneur. If you could go back in time and do it all over again, what advice would you give to yourself back when you were 20-something in college? So, again, as I said, most of these students want to be where you are now. And so, I guess, in a way, what advice would you give them if they would like to have a similar career? You wake up, it's 1990 something. I have no idea how old you are, but whatever year you graduated from high school, and you can do it all over again. So would you do anything differently, or what would you tell yourself back then?
I would do a lot differently. um, what I would tell myself is that you're gonna hear a lot of no's for a very long time before you hear a yes. And it's gonna be a lot longer before you get that yes than you anticipate typically. So if you are sure in your vision and know that it can work, then you will be sure you will eventually get that yes. But it takes a long time and you're gonna have a lot of pushback because unfortunately, most startups do fail. And what I have seen is that it's because it's exhausting to constantly hear no and to keep trying over and over again. It's not because the model doesn't work. It's not because there's not demand for the product. It's because they've not found that right link to make it happen in the right way, right? So just keep reminding yourself that your entrepreneurship is kind of like the definition of insanity. You're going to keep trying the same thing and expect a different answer each time. So stay true to your vision too. There's been a lot of propositions that we have received that say, we'd be willing to do this, but you need to pay farmers less, or you need to cut this out of your business, or you need to, we're not going to do the environmental tracking, those types of things. And that's, yes, the money would have been great at that time, but that was not core to our values, and that changes our model and business structure completely. So keep fighting for what you believe in, and don't falter even when it can be easy to accept something just to carry on. And also, nothing is ever as big of a deal as you think it is. I know it feels like a lot in the moment, but all the things that I used to worry about and ruminate on at night before I was going to bed, I can't remember now. They mean nothing now. It feels like so much in the moment, but it's really not at the end of the day. Unless someone is actually hurt or sick or like in danger, that is an emergency. Everything else is just take a breath and know that it will get sorted out, and you'll be okay. I promise you'll be okay. And keep that core group of advisors and people that believe in you around you. That has been essential to keeping us alive as a business. If we didn't have people that had our backs throughout all of our challenges, there's no way I'd be sitting here today.
So if you could do it all over again, would you still have started your own company or corporate job 8 till 5?
Man,
That's a long pause.
I know I love what I do. It is a immense privilege to be able to do what I do, but it is exhausting. You come in thinking that, oh, I can control everything and I'm my own boss and I make my own hours. It's not that at all, especially in the beginning. It takes all of your time and energy, and until you get to a point where you have other people set up and that are experts in your business to run things, you're kind of on call all the time. So make sure though you have a balance. I think that's what I would change, is not making my entire life my business. Um, I'm glad for that experience, but also at the end of the day, it really burnt me out after the first few years. It really hurt my husband, and he had to take quite a bit of time off to recuperate and recover and come back into the business with energy again. So just always have something that is separate from your business. Don't make your entire life and your entire identity your business. I know it's very easy to do that. And especially when you are putting literally everything that you own, all of your money, all of your time, everything into it, I completely understand, but it is not you at the end of the day. You still are a person with family and friends and, hobbies that you like to do just for you. Always make time for that. Always, always, always. I don't believe in this hustle culture. Yes, I know that it can be required, but I don't think that that is a sustainable model for entrepreneurs to go in saying, I'm just going to work, I'll do 15-hour days. It's fine. That's not fine. If you wouldn't make your employee or a partner do that, don't put that on yourself either. Set up a schedule that is sustainable, and keep outside hobbies and things that are separate from work. Keep that something to look forward to. You always need that, or you're going to get burnt out way too quickly.
Well, the world is grateful that you took the risk. Thank you so much. And so let's stop here. Thank you, Catherine. So I'll share with you the recording when it's ready, once it's ready.
Perfect. Yeah. And then any like price points, I can send some basic price point
Yep.
structures of what we currently have as costings, local packaging costs, some rough estimates of logistics costs. I can send a simple breakdown for that if that's helpful for people to start
Yes,
seeing,
that would be helpful, and I'll
what
share
that
it with
looks
the
like.
students. Yes. Well, thank you so much. And yes, let's see what the students come up with. Hopefully, lots of good ideas and business leads. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Have a good day. Bye bye.